Good day, everybody. Welcome to On the Aisle with Rona Mann. And where are we on the aisle today? We are back at the Gamm Theater in Warwick. Angels in America, Part 2, Perestroika. Now, you knew we'd be back because late spring, early summer, we did Part 1. Well, Part 2 is not, I should say Perestroika, put a little more Russian in it. This is not Part 1. And one of the things I wanted to bring out is that the advertising for this show has been you don't have to have seen Part 1 to appreciate this show. Well, you damn well better. That's what I'm saying. You damn well better. You need to see it, and you can. The people from the theater do a wonderful job when they'll send you an email. They'll send you a whole backstory on Part 1, letting you know who all the players are and what's happening. I don't think it makes a hill of beans difference to getting Part 2. You need to see it. You need to hear these people. You need to know where they're coming from. All of them are so damaged, and they do it so well. And then many of them do transform, and you're not going to get that from reading the background. They do it in the program as well. Again, sitting before the show reading, if you have no idea, is not going to help. Let's get the awards out of the way first. This won, and this is 7 hours of theater. Not all at once. I promise I wouldn't have sat there for 7 hours. It's Part 1 and Part 2, and they are each about 3.5 hours. And they've done a really good job cutting it and making it fit into 3 acts. So with Part 1, there were 2 intermissions. And with Part 2, there are 2 intermissions. And you don't get bored and you don't get tired. You'll find that it works. It really does work. So this show, when it was first done, was actually done in London before it ever came to New York. It came to New York about 25 years ago. And let's get the awards out of the way. It won the Pulitzer Prize for Best Play. It won the Tony. It won the Drama Desk Award and a host of others. Anything that you could win, it won. Something that I found out, and I did not know, is that 5 years later, it was done for television. It was done as a miniseries. And it received 21 Emmy nominations, of which it won 11. More than Roots. So we're not talking about a cheap little bit here. This is quite a show. But you need to do something and see Part 1. You can do it easily enough because the show is on till August 12th. So you've got a week and a half. But
October 12th.
I'm sorry, thank you. October 12th, Columbus Day. Yes. The show is on through, they would love to be doing it till August 12th. They'd be exhausted. I don't know how the actors do it, especially 2 in one day. I was there on Sunday night, and they had already done one 3 hours before. And it is such a physical show. Okay, so you can do it easily enough because you can stream it, or you can get a copy from the local library. Probably easier to stream. And it's on many different platforms. I did check that out. There is so much to absorb. You cannot do it, again, by just reading a synopsis. If you stream it, my suggestion would be stream only Part 1. Because the Part 2 that was done on television is probably going to be different than what you see with live theater. Nothing beats live theater, and nothing beats the Gamm, the way they approach everything. Angels in America, Part 1 was called The Millennium Approaches. and it was easier to digest as a title. Part two is Perestroika. Part two is Angels in America, Perestroika. Now, that's a city in Russia. So you're saying, what is this? Is it a city in Russia? No. But it is a Russian word. I did look it up, and it's a perfect translation for what this show is about. It is meant for restructuring, especially 25 years ago. Now, interesting, 25 years ago, the restructuring they needed to do in Russia, in the USSR, was politics and the economy. Starting to sound a little bit familiar to you? Do you hear the echoes of today? It's amazing. When this was written by Tony Kushner all these years ago, he had no idea where we were going to be as a country or as a world in 2025. And yet the parallels are chilling and amazing. Part two is a lot about gays in America because gays were not accepted then as they are now. It's about HIV and AIDS, which then was a death sentence, and now it is not any longer. It was about scorn for President Reagan, Republicans, and Mormons. I'm not quite sure where the Mormons came in, but they are a vital part of the play. It's also about Roy Cohn. If you're of a certain age, you may remember Roy Cohn, the attorney from McCarthyism and the McCarthy hearings. He is one vulgar son of a gun. And he is played by the guy that runs the Gamm, Tony Estrella, who is an excellent actor. I've never seen him play a part like this, where he is loudmouthed, vulgar. He is a gay basher, although he himself is closeted. And he's also known as a deal maker. And he talks about the art of the deal. Isn't that strange? One of the lines, and there's a lot of comedy in this, even though I'm talking about HIV, AIDS, gays, dying, war, and all of that, there is a tremendous amount of comedy. He is irascible. There is no one who could like him or love him. And when he's lying in the hospital bed and he gets a phone call, and he's always getting calls and slamming the phone down, and he doesn't like the phone he's got. It's a rotary phone, and he's smacking the thing, and he's saying there's no hold button on it. And he finally says to the guy before he hangs up on him, "Hang up, go away, I'm busy dying." And that's what he was doing. We also have, to complete the cast, and I'm not going to go through all of them, we have a left-wing Jew. We have a young woman who is tap dancing with a mental breakdown and takes drugs just to stand up and breathe. We have her husband, Joe, whom she loves, but he's not so sure that he loves her. Well, he doesn't really. He's a closeted Mormon law clerk. And his mama comes from Salt Lake City later on to try to do what mamas do, make everything nice. No. He is a protege of Roy Cohn, and he winds up leaving her for a homosexual relationship. Then there's Pryor, and there's Lewis, another homosexual couple. Lewis leaves Pryor more than halfway through part one. And he does it because Pryor has contracted AIDS. And it's really very sad. And again, that was part of part one. He can't take it, and he's afraid for himself, so he leaves. There's a lot more to say about all the characters, especially that angel. You see the angel come down at the very end of part one, and tells you that the real work is going to begin. And then you have no idea till you see part two. My God, has the work begun? What can I say about part two without giving too much of it away? They are the best of the best that the Gamm has to offer as far as their actors. All the shows you may have ever seen there, and you say, oh my God, I love Tony, or I love, I can't think of some of the names, but they're in this show. They pick the best they have. And there's no such thing as picking the worst. Not at all. I mean, these people are incredible actors. I have read that there are times that this show is done in repertory, where one night part one is played, next night part two is played, same cast. That's going to be murder on them. That is one heck of a lot of lines. So yes, you have Tony Estrella. You have Jeff Church, who can do just about anything, and maybe you saw him in Hamlet. Janine Kane came in for Phyllis. Phyllis from Trinity was not available, so Janine Kane came in from Boston. She does a lot of shows for them. Gabrielle Macaulay plays the absolutely whacked out of her mind young woman. Haas Reagan plays Prior Walter. Ben Steinfeld plays Louis Aronson. Rachel Warren is the angel, who in part two is not all sweetness and light. She is yelling most of the time. And I was sitting there with a headache saying, why are you yelling so much? Why are you yelling at me? I think that was exactly the point. She wasn't just yelling at the characters about who they were, what was going to happen, what they could do. She was yelling at all of us. Boy, does she get your attention. And completing the cast is Rodney Witherspoon II, who plays Belize, the night nurse to Roy Cohn. And he absolutely provides much of the humor. I took one of his speeches and I cut it down quite a bit, because in this particular speech, he is yelling at Louis, the guy who just left Prior Walter because he was afraid. And he says, Louis and his big ideas. Big ideas are all you love. America is what Louis loves. Well, me, I hate America, Louis. I hate this country. It's just big ideas and stories and people dying and people like you. That white guy who wrote the national anthem knew what he was doing. He set the word free to a note so high nobody can reach it. That was deliberate. Nothing on earth sounds less like freedom to me. Well, if I have to single out, and I always do like to single out a couple of the actors, I will single out Rodney Witherspoon II. I have seen him in a number of shows for Trinity, for the Gamm, and he usually plays a very light, comedic, lovable guy. Not so much here, but boy, does he make sense, as you might have just heard. He brings much of the humor. People were laughing all through this. And then, of course, it hit you. And the other actor that I have liked since part one was Ben Steinfeld as Louis. He might not be one of the very top players with the most lines, but boy, what he's got, he is so good. And when he leaves his lover, it's very, very sad, and he becomes a very sympathetic character. And he is with us, they're all still with us in part two. So, as the angel says at the end of part two, stay put. The country may not be great, but it's always going. It always spins forward. One of the actors said that. I wish I could remember which character said that, but it might have been Prior Walter, because he becomes a prophet. The angel makes him a prophet. He goes, well, you'll see. Hopefully you will see. And you've got till October 12th to see it. Friday night is a pay what you will. And they also have coming up, which I love, and it just so happens there is a picture here of Ben and of Rodney, and it says dive deeper into the show. I think I'm going to go to this on Sunday, October 19th, from 6 to 9 p.m., 6 to 8 p.m. For $25, you will have yourself, you will join the Gamm's Associate Artistic Director, Rachel Walsh, for a discussion on our production of Tony Kushner's Angels in America, Part 2, Perestroika. Enjoy a wine and cheese platter while diving deep into the themes of Kushner's text and its translation to the Gamm stage. And the interesting thing I found out about Tony Kushner is that he worked a lot with Steven Spielberg. You wouldn't think somebody that's writing stuff this hard, this deep, would have been on The Fabelmans, on West Side Story, and there were 2 or 3 other Steven Spielberg productions. So this is a very talented man. And the other very, very talented man is the director, Brian McElhenney. He is a Trinity stage actor. I don't know if he's done a lot of directing before, but based on this, he could do it again and again. So there you have it. Angels in America, Part 2. Make sure you check it out first. Make sure you stream it or go to the library. Don't just read the couple of paragraphs in here. You're going to be lost. Well, we don't want you lost. We want you back on the aisle with Rona Mann. I will be back in about a week and a half because we've got Rocky Horror from our own Granite Theater, and you don't want to miss that, I know. Have a good one.